My name's Sunanda. My B-girl name is SunSun. People call me SunSun. That's my dance name. I got involved in dance a long time ago. I used to do ballet when I was about 3 and a bit of tap dancing, which I didn't really like then. But then I got into gymnastics, and that was my main thing. I was a gymnast, so I actually competed internationally as well as nationally, and that's really what I wanted to do. But all that time, I always used to dance with my friends, because at that point hip-hop was quite big. It was sort of mid-80s when I was growing up, so you couldn't do hip-hop classes. It was more about just doing it with your friends kind of thing. And I always used to copy this guy at the gym who used to like do some sort of... Now I look at it, it was probably close to locking, but I didn't really know what it was. It was just some funky dance that they used to do, so I used to copy him. And just mess around, and then eventually my mum said go to dance college because you're not really going to do anything else. I think they wanted me to be academic, which I kind of was, but I really just wanted to jump around and dance. That was my thing, kind of thing. So she set me up in a dance college called Breakin College, which is a foundation course. So when I was 16 I left school, went to college for 2 years, then I got a diploma to go to a scholarship to go to another college up in King's Cross called the London Studio Centre, and that was really good because we had to do ballet every day, but I got to do all different styles of jazz and like contemporary, and still hip hop wasn't really that big, but it was like commercial kind of dance we did. So I still kind of used to like mess around with my friends with the other kind of hip hop thing. When it came to breaking, I actually didn't start breaking until I went to the UK B-Boy Champs in 1998. Before that, during the 90s, breaking wasn't that big anymore, so nobody really used to do it, although I did always want to learn it. But then when I found it, I was like, that's it, I really want to do this. But I was doing a lot of other styles as well. I met a guy when I left college called Tem, who I still dance with now, and he taught me Lindy Hop, which is a traditional jazz style of dance, which I didn't really know much about, but I'd seen it, and when I saw him doing it, I was like, I really want to learn that. And then I saw him tap dance, and his tap dancing was so cool. Like, it was proper American rhythm style, which was different to the English style. So that really inspired me, and you know, I really got into that. So he taught me, we started our own dance company, but then as I said, I started breaking as well. And it came to a point where I had to sort of say, right, I'm doing a lot of different styles, and that's great, but I need to really concentrate on a style, especially breaking, because it takes a lot of practice, a lot of hard work. So you've got to kind of put your other styles on the shelves just for a bit, so to speak, and really concentrate on that style. So I really kind of decided to push myself in the breaking side of things, and by 2005 I created my own all-female B-girl crew. Myself and another lady called Yami, who's an amazing locker and a popper. She also works for Theatre Is, and we kind of got some girls together and created our own crew called Flosaic, and we were lucky enough to perform all over the world in some of the biggest breaking events, and also to battle around the world as well, which is one of the main parts of breaking. It's not just about performing on the stage, there's a battle thing to this as well, which is like going to jams, and it's a culture really, it's a way of life. So yeah, that was kind of like how it all started. Yeah, I've faced a few barriers. I think generally in the dance world, not necessarily just the hip-hop world, the dance world, I think women have a harder time. I think it's because there's more of us, so we've got more competition. Not so much in the breaking scene, but in the whole dance scene, there's more of us. But also it seems like the top choreographers, like the top chefs, funny enough, always seem to be men. And you know, it's not often you get that many women that are right up there in the actual, you know, it always seems to be the man that gets the job, whether it be, you know, a hip-hop dance or contemporary or whatever. So I think there are barriers. I mean, in the hip-hop world, there is some kind of, I would say, a little bit of tension between guys and girls, although I think it's much better now. There seems to be an equal divide now, in the hip-hop world, although the breaking scene is still very male-dominated. And I just think that's because it's a dance invented by guys, it was created by men, their bodies are more, that's what they, you know, their bodies are more prone to it. Whereas girls, we have to kind of work harder, getting down on the floor, our hips are bigger or whatever, so some things are harder. Although, saying that, there's girls that are there's a lot of girls that are just as good as guys, so, but because we are the minority, it's a hard one, because sometimes we can get easy props, which means, you know, if you go in a circle and just do any old thing, because it's a girl going in, everyone's like, yeah, that's really good, even if it isn't. So I think that's the sort of things that we've had to face over the years. I think I've seen over the last 10 years especially, girls improving ridiculously amounts. You know, when I first started, there was hardly any girls in the world that were out there doing their thing. And there was a few girls that sort of tried, but when it came to the hardcore training, they just couldn't quite hack it. And I think that's what tends to happen with a lot of dancers, a lot of women. They want to learn breaking, but they find out after a while that it's actually something that you've got to put a lot of time into. So they kind of give up in a sense, because it is quite rough and dirty. You have to get down on the floor. You have to be a certain way. You can't be very girly. Although you can, you know, you can make it like that. We've kind of done that a little bit over the years, but it's and then you get a lot of, sometimes you do get guys that sort of like to kind of put you down. And I'm not saying this happens, you know, with everyone, but there are a few that kind of still have that sexist view, which is quite interesting because it's 2013, and I still hear guys talking in a chauvinist way. I mean, that's very few, but you know, but it's something that we just have to overcome and just get on with it, really. Well, it's a lot of work for a 10-minute piece or 8 minutes on the stage or whatever. It is a hell of a lot of work. Sometimes you think, oh my God, you know, a lot of my life has gone into this one moment on stage. Hopefully we will get to perform it again, but the way we've prepared is when we found out we got Breakin Convention, which was around about February, I think, we knew we had, what, sort of three or so months to really get prepared. So we had to collect up our dancers and say, okay, when are you guys available? Because obviously everyone's working, everyone's got different jobs. This isn't really a paid gig, this is just something that's a really good platform for us to do. So everyone's coming for their own free will. And I mean, myself and Temujin are investing in, we're the choreographers, so we're sort of investing in rehearsal space. We had to book rehearsal space. Some of it was given to us for free, thank you very much to those guys who gave it to us for free, but obviously some of it we had to pay for. So it's finding the right days, the right times, then finding when the dancers are available, and obviously, you know, some people have to leave early some days, some people can't come. So it's quite a bit of a headache, that. And then obviously preparing so that you actually get the show done in the right time for the show, so you're kind of ready at the right point, you're not ready too early. So it's kind of just pacing yourself with rehearsals. You know, sometimes it gets quite stressful because not everyone's there, we have to finish a certain bit, it doesn't get finished, or there's issues with choreography, or somebody wants to do it like that. So it's you know, it's a long, hard road, but we managed to pull it off. Our tech run was pretty hard, like not great on Wednesday, which happens a lot, you know, you do get tech runs that aren't good, but we felt a bit like, oh my God, are we actually going to be able to do this? Like, and you know, through that moment, but we really kind of trained Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and said, right, we've got to just get this done. And I think we've managed to pull it off right yesterday. So it seemed like the crowds enjoyed it. We had tap dancers in our piece, which was quite difficult sound-wise because we had like, it's a Mali floor, it's like a dance floor on the stage, so the sound isn't great. So we had some raised platforms where they could get on, but some of it is choreography, so they had to have mics on their, like, attached to them onto their shoes, and sometimes when the music was playing, the sound didn't always come as good as we wanted it to. But this is something that we'll learn in the future. We'll know, you know, we'll know how to put the levels and stuff like that. So it's not just about us dancing on the stage. There's technical things. We had to work out the lighting and spacing. When you get onto a stage like that, it's like, you know, you've got to think, okay, spacing. Now we're on this big, massive stage. There's the middle, people got to know where they're going. And so yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's worth it. Well, we don't like to say fusion. We don't like to call it fusion. We like to call it a connection or a blend. I kind of made that up the other day. But I think it's just, we're still on this journey, because when we, myself and Temujin kind of came back together after not doing so much work for a few years, I suddenly had this whole wealth of experience in breaking, because I've been doing it for like 10 years or so by that time. And obviously we both had the experience in Lindy Hop. Temujin actually taught me Lindy Hop, and then he taught me tap. So we've both done all three styles. And we kind of, when we came together, we devised a piece which we called Lindy Break, which we just kind of got together and kind of played around with what the top rock stuff I do, breaking wise, and the steps that he does with the Lindy Hop that I knew as well, and he obviously knew some of the breaking. We kind of, they're very connected, they're very similar, but then you can see the difference as well in the way you do them. So we just played around with different things and different ways of moving, and coming down and up off the floor into a Lindy move, or down into a breaking move, into a freeze, and it kind of worked out. I'm not really sure how. Maybe it was just because we're both so in tune with what we do with that dance. We've been doing it a long time. It just came natural to us. And when we did this piece, that was actually what, in a sense, got us to do the Olympics job that we did last year with the choreography of the opening ceremony. And during the opening ceremony, what we did, we auditioned. We decided to use those three styles of dances. So we used breaking, Lindy Hop, and tap. And we did come across quite a few issues, because obviously, you know, tappers have to have their tap shoes on, they've got a certain way of working, breakers need a certain type of floor, but we choreographed it so that they could actually come together as much as we could, you know, in the time we had. And then obviously the Lindy Hop was slightly separate in that piece, but it gave us the idea of saying, right, we want to try and do this as a company and get some of the dancers that we've already worked for. And when we were devising this piece with Breakin Convention, first of all, you kind of ended up in rehearsals like the tappers would be over there working on their own, and we'd be sort of over there practicing our Lindy Hop and breaking. So sometimes it's like, hold on a minute, we actually need to kind of come together more. So I think they did a performance just before Christmas, and I watched it because I was actually in India when they did that, and I said, well, actually, I think you guys need to connect more. So that's what we were trying to strive for in this last 3 months. You know, there are a few hiccups, not hiccups, but like setbacks, because obviously it's hard to, not everyone is great at everything yet. We're still trying to train people up at, train people up at like Lindy Hop. So we've got an amazing breaker in our group, but she still doesn't know so much Lindy Hop yet. So and that's something you can't learn in a week. You have to, it will take time. And then obviously, like, we're a bit rusty on our tap still, so we're kind of doing some skill exchange, and that's what we used to start the rehearsals with, some skills exchange. So it's like we'd all put our tap shoes on, and one of the tappers would teach some tapping, and it was really cool, because it was nice to get back, and then we start to think of ideas. Oh, actually, this could work with my breaking top rock or whatever, and then I would teach a little breaking class with everyone, which killed them, getting on the floor and all that. But it's really cool, because I think when you see a tap dancer get down on the floor, and you can like, play with that as well. And then like Tem would do some Lindy to get everyone into the partner work, and hopefully this is the beginning of a journey. I think it's going to take longer, you know. So we've just started really. So it's not easy, because it's something that hasn't really been done that much before. So we're just experimenting. Well, that was a whole other thing in itself. I mean, the ceremony was, I don't think we're ever going to get that experience again. We worked alongside a group called Mass Movement, who their main people are, that's what they do. They do ceremonies all over the world. Smaller ceremonies, you know, the World Cup events, the Commonwealth Games, all that kind of stuff. Obviously this was a big one for them, so they had to bring in a lot a lot of more people from the UK to be part of that mass movement team. But the guy who was in charge of it, Steve Boyd, he does this all over the world. So we learnt a lot from him. The way they start it is they chart it on a computer. So for example, we did the NHS section where we had 340 beds, roughly. We had 400 kids on the beds. We had nurses, we had 800 volunteer nurses that came on pushing the beds, and then they had to come on and do choreography as well. So we had to start in sections, you know. Rehearsal started with sort of Group A, 200 people, Group B, 200 people. So we started with that, and then we brought Group A and B together, Group D, C and D together, and you know, eventually brought everyone together when we got into the big. We were rehearsing in a big place in Dagenham, like a big old Ford, sort of massive space, like car parky kind of place. But it's a lot about charting and working out, okay, having the picture of the stadium and how it's going to be for that section, where we can bring beds onto and where people can stand, and if there's a slope, which we found out after a while, there was actually a slope on stage. We had trampoline beds, we suddenly realised we can't put those trampoline beds on those slopes. So, you know, it's kind of hit and miss really, because you make a chart, but then you go back the next day and maybe something doesn't work, so you've got to kind of change a whole bunch of things. It takes a while, but working with a mass movement was amazing, because us as choreographers, we were used to working in a certain way on a theatre stage or whatever, so everyone's seeing everything, whereas when you're in a stadium it's not quite like that, because it's so big, you've got different parts of the audience seeing different things, so you can afford to, it doesn't matter if not everyone's doing the same thing over here they are over there. I think what's next is we've just actually embarked on a new journey with our new company, Grounded. Even though me and Temujin have been working together a long time, I won't say how long, but it's really cool, because we've kind of suddenly bought this new, not suddenly, but it's evolved. Now we've got this company and we've had a good performance, and I think we're both now quite hungry to kind of keep evolving with it and keep it moving. And we've seen what can be done with it, so it's quite exciting. So that's something. I'm going to continue sort of teaching. I love working with theatres. I love working with other artists, because I love singing and rapping as well, and music. So, you know, even though I'm a dancer, I'm really into all that other stuff as well. So I love doing projects like that and giving back to the young people, working with young people. I might do a fitness. What's it called, personal training course, just something that I'm interested in, keep up with my singing, so I'm kind of looking to do a few things. I would say try to find someone to teach it, learn it properly, don't just throw yourself in there, don't just say I want to learn all these big moves and blah, blah. Learn the foundation. It takes time, be patient, it does take time, especially for girls, you know. You can use your body, everyone's body's different, so you can use your body in the way that is comfortable for you. Don't give up too quickly, because it's one of the hardest dances, I would say, to learn. But if you're really into it and you love the music and you love the feel of the dance, then you can, whatever you have in your body, maybe you're flexible, you're strong, whatever, you can achieve that, because breaking is about expressing yourself in your own way. And I would say, especially to girls, you know, you see guys that naturally can do flips or handstands or whatever, it doesn't mean you can't do that. You can go away and do press-ups, you can go away and go to the gym and train just as much. So the advice I always give would just work hard, you know, and don't try and rush into it, don't try and think you're going to learn this quickly. Enjoy the process, because that's what's going to give you your experience and your knowledge, and learn your hip-hop. Hip-hop didn't start last year. Hip-hop has been going for nearly 40 years now. Be open-minded, so don't just say, oh, I just want to do that, that's it. And you know, you'll have a lot of different people telling you different things. Take what you can from each of them, but you know what you want to do, and and don't let anyone put you down. That's the main thing.